I rushed to see Alfred only to witness him kissing his first love passionately in the rain. His shirt collar was wide open, allowing her to leave red marks on his Adam's apple. In the 2 years we'd been together, it was the first time I'd seen him so moved with emotion. That day, I left the apartment keys behind and quietly moved out. We met again at a cocktail party, falsely accused of stealing a priceless necklace. I still refused to call Alfred to testify for me. Amid the struggle, Alfred stepped forward slowly through the crowd. Under the astonished gazes of everyone, he bent down and draped his suit jacket over my trembling shoulders. Would rather grit your teeth than call me. Do you hate me that much? Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. At the cocktail party, someone lost a priceless necklace. They surrounded me, demanding to search me. Carlin, hand over the necklace now, or we're calling the police. With your meager salary, can you even afford a 7-figure necklace? You probably don't know this, but that necklace was Alfred's personal design for Doris. No matter how jealous you are, you can't just claim it as your own. Can you? Doris was Alfred's first love. Back then, she and Alfred were the couple everyone in their circle envied. But on the eve of the wedding, she ran away. She went abroad, cut off all contact, and never reached out to anyone again. A month ago, she suddenly returned to the country and reappeared by Alfred's side. For a while, everyone was waiting to see me become a laughingstock. What they don't know is that Alfred and I ended things a month ago. I was the one who called it off. That day when his business trip ended, I couldn't contain my excitement and rushed through the heavy rain to see him, only to witness Doris and Alfred struggling with each other in the pouring rain. After a brief struggle between the two, Doris suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. He didn't respond, but neither did he reject her, letting her have her way. I've never seen Alfred like this before. His eyes were tender and doting, his expression vivid. I used to think he was naturally indifferent. It was at that moment I realized the only one who could stir his emotions was Doris. The thought of breaking up emerged at that time. As for me and Alfred, there was never really a question of who pursued whom. Our first meeting was at the school anniversary celebration. At that time, I was just a freshman, and he returned to campus as a distinguished alumnus to give a speech. Polite yet effortlessly charming, he made people want to get closer. Many female classmates secretly admired him, and that included me. But everyone knew he had a first love who was far away in another country. Since their breakup, he had been waiting for her to return. I thought this unrequited love would eventually fade away without a trace, never expecting that I would have a chapter with him. In our senior year, he appeared at our graduation ceremony as a special guest. I mustered up the courage to step forward and hand over my resume. He didn't reject me for lacking work experience, but instead encouraged me to give it a try bravely. With just those 2 short sentences, I rushed towards him without hesitation. At first, I was just a small assistant in the secretarial department, until I passed through layers of selection and finally became his right-hand assistant. The day we officially became a couple, I was pressured to drink by a business partner to secure a contract. Someone had spiked my drink with something illicit, and I barely managed to stumble out of the private room with my fading consciousness. Fortunately, Alfred arrived just in time and took me away. He wanted to take me to the hospital, but I refused, naively believing I could tough it out. I can't quite remember how things unfolded after that. I only recall him cornering me between the seats, whispering, "Is this okay?" As the heat subsided somewhat, Alfred's movements became much gentler. After it was over, I clutched my clothes and sat up, hiding my face behind my hair, overwhelmed with shame and anger. But he said very seriously, "I will take responsibility for you." At 24, I finally got together with the person I had a crush on for years. We did everything that couples typically do, just like any ordinary pair. I once greedily thought about spending the rest of my life with him like this, but on a perfectly ordinary night, I woke up startled from a dream to find no one beside me. When I found him on the balcony, he was smoking, cigarette butts scattered all around his feet. In his hand, he clutched Doris's photo. The next day, someone from the secretarial department quietly told me Doris had returned. I still remember the look in my colleague's eyes, pity and something more, something unspoken. The day I made up my mind to leave, I was running a high fever and couldn't reach Alfred all day. By the time I finished work, it was already late at night. As I stepped out of the office building, I received a call from Alfred. He was drunk and asked me to pick him up. Dragging my heavy and unsteady body, I finally found him, only to see Doris sitting astride his lap, kissing him passionately. I stared blankly for a moment, then took out my phone and dialed Alfred's number. The abrupt ringing of the phone interrupted their intimacy. In the chaos, someone, no one knew who, knocked over a wine bottle, sending it crashing to the floor in pieces. Alfred looked over, his composure shattered. He pushed Doris aside and strode up to me. Can we go now? I interrupted him. He silently reached out to take my hand. But the moment he touched me, his brow furrowed tightly. Why are you so feverish? As he spoke, he made a move to check my forehead temperature, but I avoided his touch. The air froze instantly. After a long while, Alfred pursed his thin lips and said unhappily, "Why didn't you say you were sick earlier?" I looked up at him. "Did you give me a chance to say it?" He was about to speak, but seemed to think better of it and swallowed his words. "Let's go to the hospital." As soon as the words fell, Doris's clear voice called out to him, "Alfred." Alfred still looked grim, but his tone softened considerably. "I'll have the driver take you back." "Alfred, my clothes are torn," Doris said awkwardly. "You tore them." Alfred froze. The previous chill had completely vanished, replaced by an emotion I couldn't comprehend. After a long pause, Alfred spoke again, but his words were directed at me. "I'll have the driver take you to the hospital." My hand at my side clenched into a fist. "What about you?" He avoided my gaze. Her clothes were torn. I couldn't let her go back alone. I stared at him in disbelief, my nails digging deep into my palms, under the dual torment of body and mind. The last tightly stretched string in my mind suddenly snapped. Alfred was still speaking. "I'll take her home, then go to the hospital." I closed my eyes for a moment, then abruptly shook off his hand. "Alfred, let's break up." The club was bustling at this late hour. People came and went in the aisle, occasionally glancing in our direction. In the endless silence, Alfred finally spoke. "You need to calm down now. Be good and stop making a scene." "I'm not making a scene, Alfred. We're over." After saying these words, I left without looking back. Back at the apartment, Alfred hadn't returned yet. I spent half an hour packing my things and placed the keys and resignation letter on the cabinet by the entrance. "Carlin, I really understand how you feel, but you and Alfred are over. Why are you holding on to me like this?" Doris's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. Her eyes were red. "If you really like this necklace, I can give it to you." As soon as she finished speaking, others began to criticize me. "Carlin, how can you be so shameless if you can't steal it? Are you trying to take it openly now? I'd like to see where else you can hide that necklace." The person snatched my bag without warning and dumped everything inside onto the ground. Among the items was an exquisite velvet box. I instinctively reached for the box, but a hand grabbed it faster than mine. The moment the box was opened, almost everyone looked over. Some were mocking, some were disdainful, and some were gloating. "Carlin, what else do you have to say?" I pressed my lips together. "This is mine. Give it back." This necklace was Alfred's gift to me. I left in such a hurry last month that I forgot to leave this necklace behind. Tonight I learned Alfred would be attending the cocktail party, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to return the necklace to him. But unexpectedly, before I could even see Alfred, I fell into Doris's trap. "Listen everyone, she claims this 7-figure necklace is hers, failing to steal it. Now she's trying to snatch it." The crowd burst into laughter. Amidst a burst of laughter, a voice exclaimed, "Alfred is here." Everyone turned to look at the door, but Alfred was nowhere to be seen. I quietly breathed a sigh of relief. I couldn't quite explain the reason. It was simply a hope that he wouldn't appear at this moment. Little did I know, this reaction was noticed by someone else again. "Oh, didn't see Alfred. Carlin, you seem quite disappointed even if Alfred comes. Don't delude yourself into thinking he'll side with you." I ignored the other's words and reached out to Doris. "Give me back the necklace. You should know better than anyone that the necklace was Alfred's gift to me." Doris suddenly reddened her eyes. She looked like the leading lady in a drama. When her eyes reddened, it instantly evoked a protective instinct in others. Sure enough, before she could even speak, someone else stepped in to speak up for her. "Alfred gave it to you. Then have Alfred come help you clarify. This is absolutely ridiculous." This necklace was clearly Alfred's personal design for Doris, and it caused quite a stir in the circle at the time. Exactly. The necklace even has Doris and Alfred's names engraved on it. "Look, right here." My head suddenly buzzed as if all sound had been cut off. Someone shouted, "Carlin, caught red-handed. How can you still try to talk your way out of this?" All eyes turned to me. I had done nothing wrong. Yet those gazes dragged me into embarrassment and discomfort. Just then, Doris said generously, "Let it go, since it's been found. Miss Carlin just needs to apologize." I snapped back to reality, looking at Doris, and suddenly felt an urge to laugh. In fact, I did just that. Who would have thought the esteemed Miss Doris would resort to such underhanded tactics to frame someone? "What, did Alfred fail to give you enough sense of security?" Doris immediately flew into a rage. What are you talking about? You got caught stealing, and you won't even apologize. Do I have to call the police? I stared at her steadily. Then call the police. Doris remained silent, but the other women suddenly reached out to grab my hair. You were given a way out but refused to take it. Don't blame us for being unkind now. Do you really think talking to Alfred makes you invincible? No one noticed how it happened. In the blink of an eye, several people were already tangled in a brawl. Amid the chaos, someone suddenly shouted, "Alfred!" The next second, several women were pulled apart by bodyguards. With my disheveled hair, I silently watched Alfred step forward slowly through the crowd, under the astonished gazes of everyone. He bent down and draped his suit jacket over my trembling shoulders. His voice was so cold it was impossible to discern any emotion. Are you trying to completely sever ties with the Armstrong family by treating my girlfriend like this? Alfred has truly arrived. Ignoring Doris's attempts to stop him, he took me away. Inside the cramped car, I caught a glimpse of my disheveled reflection in the rearview mirror. With gentle movements, he brushed aside my messy strands of hair. Under the dim light, his handsome, well-defined face was tense. Having lived together for 4 years, I knew all too well this was the precursor to his anger. The atmosphere in the car grew increasingly oppressive, and I instinctively wanted to flee. Just as my hand touched the door handle, I was yanked back, struggling. I met those dark, inscrutable eyes. I don't know where the courage came from, but I glared at him fiercely. He looked slightly taken aback, then curled his lips into a smirk. This only made me angrier. Let go of me. Not only did he not let go, but he also pulled me onto his lap, gripping my wrists to keep me from struggling. Would rather grit your teeth than call me. Do you hate me that much? Warm breath brushed against my neck as I turned my face away. I don't hate you. As a boss, he was exceptionally capable and never mistreated his subordinates. As a boyfriend, he was perfect in every way, fulfilling all my fantasies of an ideal partner. I truly don't hate him. Since you don't hate me, then come back to work. I didn't approve your resignation request, and take me out of your blacklist. I froze for a moment, belatedly remembering that on the day I left, I had blocked and deleted all his contact information. Back then, I steeled my heart to delete them, determined never to add him back. If I unblock him now, what would all the emotional preparation I've done these days even mean? In the cramped train compartment, the air was so still it felt terrifying. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity, until suddenly, I heard him say, "Carlin, will you marry me?" For a moment, I thought I must be hallucinating. But the cold touch of his fingertips against mine told me it was real. I raised my hand, and a platinum diamond ring appeared between my fingers. At 18, I fell in love with Alfred at first sight. At 22, I followed in his footsteps and joined his company. At 24, I got together with him as I wished. At 26, I exhausted all my strength to make the decision to leave him, yet he proposed marriage to me. Why? I asked softly. Alfred grabbed my hand, his rough fingertips gently caressing my palm. Doris and I aren't what the rumors say. She's like a little sister we watched grow up. We dated for a while but realized it wasn't right and went our separate ways. Now that she's back in the country and wants to get back together, but I already have you, Carlin. The Armstrong family and the Clarence family have collaborated for many years, with intricate relationships between them. I can't afford to be too harsh. His tone was sincere and earnest, convincing enough that anyone would believe him without hesitation. Reason tells me I should refuse him. Every cell in my body was screaming, begging me to give us another chance. But the image of him and Doris kissing kept flashing through my mind. He said Doris was just like a sister. But can sisters kiss like that? Just as I was about to speak, Alfred's phone ringtone interrupted what I was going to say. He answered the call, and though I couldn't hear what was said, Alfred's expression suddenly changed. "Carlin, I have to leave for a moment. Doris is in trouble." Without waiting for my response, he had already stepped out of the car, his strides large and hurried. I waited in the car for a very, very long time. So long that the driver couldn't help but ask, "Assistant Carlin, should we go check?" I didn't speak, just opened the video I had just received. In the video, Alfred held the drenched Doris, his face dark as he scanned everyone present. "Doris, if anything happens, you'll all be held responsible today." Someone gathered the courage to say, "We didn't know Doris couldn't swim." She didn't say anything, just jumped right in. The first woman who pulled my hair said, "You can't blame us for this. How could you publicly take away a little assistant like that, leaving Doris behind? How was she supposed to face us?" With the first beginning, there comes the second, the third. Everyone is saying, Alfred shouldn't have left Doris alone to bear everything for my sake. Alfred said nothing, just held Doris tightly. At this point in the video, I couldn't bear to watch any further. I told the driver, I won't be going. As soon as I spoke, I realized how parched my throat was. I took off the ring and handed it to the driver. Please give this to Mr. Alfred. I pushed the door open and got out of the car. When I got home, I took a shower and crawled into bed, but I couldn't fall asleep no matter what. The email notification alerts me to a new message. I click to open it. It's from my sponsor. Just one sentence. I need someone to help me now. Alfred, whatever he's paying you, I'll triple it. I type and delete repeatedly, finally leaving just one word. Okay. Alfred contacted me the next afternoon. At that time, I had just completed the resignation procedures. Alfred asked me to wait for him. Shortly after, his car pulled up in front of me. Get in the car. I distantly refused. Mr. Alfred, I'm in a hurry. If you have something to say, just say it directly. A single Mr. Alfred instantly made Alfred's face darken. Carlin. His voice was so deep it made one's heart tremble. Get in the car. I didn't move. Alfred wouldn't leave either. He was stubborn, insisting on dragging it out with me. It was rush hour, and colleagues kept streaming out of the building, inevitably casting curious glances our way. His car was parked by the roadside. As I walked forward, he followed slowly behind. This way, the taxi had no chance to pull over. Gazing at the overcast sky, I finally gave in. After getting in the car and giving the address, I fell silent. Alfred frowned slightly between his brows. Pack your things later and move back. No need. I'm quite comfortable where I'm living now. He lowered his gaze but remained silent. When we reached the neighborhood entrance, I got out of the car. Alfred followed suit. Mr. Alfred, I stopped. I can make it back on my own. He acted as if he were deaf and kept walking straight ahead. Which building and unit? What floor? Alfred, this person is very persistent. Once he's made up his mind, no one can talk him out of it, at the moment. He seems absolutely determined to achieve his goal no matter what. I couldn't stop him, so I stopped trying. We entered the elevator, went upstairs, and I stopped at the door. It's not convenient today, so I won't invite you in. I thought he would insist on entering, but unexpectedly, he said, all right, go pack your things, I'll wait here for you. I frowned. We've already broken up. I didn't agree to it, he said flatly. Besides, you accepted my ring last night. I had Jack return the ring to you. At the time, Jack even sent me a photo. In the photo, Alfred was staring at the ring in his palm, lost in thought. But now, Alfred insists he never received the ring. If you want to break up, fine, return the ring to me. And we'll break up whenever you do. He looked utterly shameless. I gritted my teeth. What the hell do you want? Move back, and I can pretend nothing ever happened. I've never seen Alfred like this before, shameless, yet so matter-of-fact. He was convinced I couldn't bring myself to refuse him, under normal circumstances. As long as he showed a little humility, no matter how upset I was, I would forgive him. But what he didn't know was that this time I was determined to cut ties with him. Alfred, actually The door suddenly opened from inside. A man in a wheelchair appeared before us without warning. With a gentle expression, he naturally reached for my bag. You're back just in time, Uncle is almost done cooking. I nodded and turned to enter the door, but Alfred grabbed my hand. With a gloomy expression, he asked, Carlin, who is he? Before I could speak, the man in the wheelchair answered him, Cyrus, Mr. Alfred, I've long heard of your great name. Alfred narrowed his eyes dangerously. Cyrus is the only son of the main branch of the Delbert family. 10 years ago, he was sent abroad to recuperate after a car accident and only returned recently. During these 10 years, he hasn't appeared in any media or participated in any events, so everyone knows the Delbert family conglomerate has a young master named Cyrus, but almost no one knows what he looks like. In the quiet hallway, two men sized each other up. An extremely strange atmosphere hung in the air. I tried to pull my hand back, but Alfred didn't budge an inch. His hand clenched into a fist at his side, his thin lips pressed tightly together. This was the precursor to his anger. Just as he was about to erupt, Cyrus suddenly spoke. Uncle seems to be calling me. Why don't you go check? I nodded and turned to look at Alfred. Mr. Alfred, if my dad sees you like this, it won't be good. His eyes darkened slightly as he released my hand. I seized the chance to escape. No sooner had I stepped inside than Alfred followed right after. I'll go say hello to Uncle. With those words, he had already entered the kitchen. I don't know what he said to my dad. My dad insisted he stay for dinner and even warmly escorted him downstairs. When Cyrus's assistant came to pick him up, my dad stopped me as I was about to return to my room. Carlin, pack your things tomorrow and go back with Alfred. I couldn't believe it. Dad, Didn't I tell you he has an arranged marriage partner? So what? He still proposed to you. My father dismissed it casually. Alfred is willing to humble himself to win you back. You shouldn't keep putting on airs. I panicked. Dad, he cut me off. If you don't get back together with him, don't call me Dad. Or what? Have you taken a liking to Cyrus? Let me tell you, there's absolutely no way between you and Cyrus, that cripple. I stared at him in shock, unable to believe he could say such ungrateful words. Cyrus is my sponsor. He supported me throughout my 3 years of high school and 4 years of college, but at first, I didn't know it was him who was supporting me. The teacher once gave me an email address, but I never contacted him, because I didn't have a phone, let alone a computer. In my 3rd year of junior high, my mother fell ill, and all the family's savings were spent on her treatment. I hid the admission letter from the prestigious high school and was about to go out to work when my teacher came to my home, telling me that someone was willing to sponsor my education. His appearance was like a timely rescue, saving my father and me. Every time we mention the sponsor, my father sighs with emotion. What a kind soul. If we ever get the chance to meet him, we must thank him properly. In fact, my dad did the same thing. After I graduated, I sent a thank you letter to that email address for the first time. Unexpectedly, I received a reply the very next day. Only then did I realize that the person who had been supporting me all along was the heir of the Delbert family's conglomerate, Cyrus. I was filled with trepidation, but he said, setting aside status, I'm just a person, nothing more. Through our correspondence, I gradually opened up to him, occasionally sharing updates about my life. 6 months ago, he suddenly told me he was returning to the country and asked if I could meet him at the airport. That was the first time I saw him. Before going, I had imagined countless scenarios in my mind, yet all these images shattered in an instant the moment I saw Cyrus, leaving behind only an overwhelming sense of awe. I stood at the arrival gate, frozen in shock, unable to take another step. Cyrus's writing gives off a feeling of high spirits and confidence. No one would have guessed that he was actually disabled. That day, he approached me on his own, with a gentle and sunny smile. Isn't it a bit different from what you imagined? I nodded. Then realizing it might be inappropriate, quickly shook my head. He smiled even more brightly. I've never seen someone with such a beautiful smile. I once thought Alfred had the most handsome face, but when Cyrus smiled, it was like seeing a celestial being. I just stood there staring at him in a daze. In the end, it was my dad who snapped out of it first and pushed him to leave. These days, Cyrus would occasionally come to my place for a meal and has even struck up a friendship with my dad. Despite their age difference, I just never expected to hear such words from my dad. He continued, Cyrus is a good guy, but his legs are no good. If you got together with him, could he even protect you? Alfred is different. He's excellent in every way. And most importantly, you like him. He doesn't look down on your background and is willing to marry you. What more could you ask for? What's the big deal if a man of his status has a few women around, as long as you're the legal one? Isn't that enough? Just listen to me and agree to marry Alfred, then live a good life with him. Hey, where are you going? The sound of the door closing cut off my dad's incessant chatter, yet, I didn't take another step forward either. In the dimly lit hallway, Cyrus sat quietly in his wheelchair. No one knew how long he had been there, or how much he had heard. Seeing me, he gave a faint smile. Where are you off to? I felt utterly ashamed but had no choice but to muster the courage to reply. Why are you back? He handed me a document. Report directly to HR tomorrow. Taking the document, the weight of guilt in my heart grew even heavier. As he turned to leave, I mustered my courage and stepped forward. Let me walk you out. On a late autumn night, the wind carried a slight chill. I took out a thin blanket from beneath the wheelchair and draped it over Cyrus's lap. Then pushed him along the road for a walk. The entire way, he remained silent. I haven't figured out how to start the conversation either. After walking about 500 meters, Cyrus suddenly said, Your uncle is right, you should choose your own path. But there's one point I disagree with. I paused. What? Carlin, you are outstanding. You don't need to rely on anyone to carve out your own world. Alfred is indeed a great choice. But I believe you would never be content being the woman behind him, trapped in that small world for a lifetime. I was stunned, firstly, because I never expected Cyrus to bring up this topic on his own. Second, he truly understands me. If all I sought was the position of Mrs. Armstrong, I wouldn't have left so abruptly. What you lack now is a springboard. If you're willing, I can provide it for you. Cyrus said he could send me abroad for further study for 2 years. The only condition was that after I returned from abroad, I had to stay by his side and help him for 3 years. You can think it over before giving me your answer. At night, I tossed and turned in bed. Cyrus's conditions are actually not harsh at all. The Delbert family's group isn't easy to get into, let alone securing a position by Cyrus's side. It's safe to say that with these terms, I'm definitely getting the better end of the deal. The only thing is, my father's health is declining year by year. If I leave for 2 years, who knows what might happen. Just as I was thinking, I suddenly heard the sound of the doorknob turning. In an instant, I sprang up from the bed, grabbing the bedside lamp to hurl it. It's me. The next second, the lights abruptly turned on. I saw Alfred standing at the doorway, staring fixedly at me. His eyes were dark and intense, as if one more glance would pull me into an abyss of eternal damnation. He approached slowly, bringing with him a strong smell of alcohol. Gripping the lamp, I watched him warily. How did you get in? He countered with a question instead of answering. Why didn't you tell me? I frowned. What are you talking about? Why didn't you tell me you know Cyrus? I didn't want to discuss Cyrus with him. It's my freedom to choose friends. Uncle said you're going to work at his company. Is that true? I truly didn't expect that my dad, in order to please Alfred, would even tell Alfred about these things. Not only that, he also let Alfred in, even allowing him to enter my room. Suppressing my temper, I said, this has nothing to do with you, Carlin. Alfred suddenly leaned in, grabbing my ankle and pulling me down. He pressed his body over me, instantly enveloping me in the scent of alcohol. I tried to push him away, but he wouldn't budge. Struggling, I hit him with the desk lamp. With a muffled groan, Alfred lay motionless on top of me. After a long while, he finally pushed himself up, his gaze as fierce as if he wanted to devour someone. Well done, Carlin, very well done. My breathing was rapid, my palms were sweaty, but I didn't dare let go of the lamp. Alfred, let's just get this out in the open now. Going back and forth like this is really annoying. He furrowed his brows. So you still want to break up with me? Yes, looking at his angry face. I suddenly remembered something. Once I went to the club to pick him up, but unexpectedly overheard his conversation with his friend. His friend asked, how could you like such a plain and bland woman? She reeks of poverty from head to toe. Isn't this kind of woman's love also cheap? At that time Alfred didn't stop his friend from belittling me. He even chimed in, cheap or not, you can only tell after dating her. At the time, I didn't see anything wrong with his words. Looking back now, it feels utterly ironic, so I returned his words to him. Alfred, even if my love is cheap, it's not for you to get a discount on. Alfred left, and then my dad came back. He accused me, saying I couldn't see clearly. That missing Alfred would ruin my entire life. With reddened eyes, I looked at him. In your eyes, is my happiness so insignificant? Back when Mom was alive, you said that as long as there's love, no obstacle is insurmountable. Now you want to go behind Mom's back and push me into the fire. My father stood motionless at the doorway for a very long time. When I turned around, I saw his back hunched, as if all his strength had suddenly drained away. I didn't sleep a wink that night. At the break of a gray dawn, I pulled my suitcase and left for a distant country to study. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. During these 2 years, the person I contacted most frequently was Cyrus. He would video call me every day. Sometimes for just a minute or two, and other times, if we stumbled upon an interesting topic, the conversation could last up to 10 minutes. He never mentioned Alfred to me. What he did most often was encourage me, urging me to persevere and wait for my return to become his right-hand assistant. And so, with his companionship, I completed my studies. On the day I returned home, Cyrus came to pick me up. I recognized him at first glance in the crowd. He seems unchanged, yet somehow different. I didn't dwell on it. Once in the car, Cyrus said, the place you used to live in has been vacated. The company arranged another apartment for you. You can stay there for now. Thank you. After I went abroad, my father went to see Cyrus. He sincerely apologized to Cyrus. Cyrus not only didn't blame him, but upon learning he was returning to the countryside, even arranged for someone to renovate his old family house. Cyrus shook the contract in his hand. I do expect compensation. I took the contract, flipped to the last page, and signed my name. Cyrus chuckled. You didn't even look at it. Aren't you afraid I might sell you out? You wouldn't. Cyrus's smile deepened. After a moment, he said, since the contract is signed, consider yourself officially on board. Accompany me to a cocktail party tonight. Okay. But I never expected that the party he mentioned would be Alfred and Doris's engagement banquet. I had just wheeled Cyrus into the venue when Cyrus was called away by someone. He asked me to wait for him for a while, saying he'd be right back, but before he returned, I found myself surrounded by a crowd. It was those very women who falsely accused me of stealing the necklace 2 years ago. The leader was named Helen. who was Alfred's admirer. After Doris went abroad, she immediately went to confess her feelings to Alfred, but was rejected. Helen thought she still had a chance. But little did she know, Alfred ended up with me. She came to me twice, each time using the pain points of my family of origin to humiliate me, trying to make me back down. Now that Doris is back, she knows she can't compete with Doris, so she's joined forces with Doris to deal with me, the outsider. Oh, isn't this assistant Carlin, disappeared for 2 years, and now you come running back as soon as you hear about Alfred's engagement, Helen said sarcastically, answering her own question. Could it be because no one came begging for you to come back these past 2 years, so you decided to return on your own? The onlookers burst into laughter and chimed in. Helen, you're giving her too much credit. Alfred is who he is, and she is who she is. Does she think she's a princess or something, needing to be coaxed? Who knows, maybe she really is a princess, a country bumpkin princess. The crowd roared with laughter. I quietly watched them when they finally stopped. I looked at Helen and slowly spoke. You're not much better either. It's been 2 years since I left, and you still haven't won over Alfred. Seems like you're not that impressive as a rich young lady. For a moment, everyone's gaze fell upon Helen. Those meaningful stares made Helen flush red with embarrassment from head to neck. She didn't dare to do anything to those people, so she simply turned her hostility towards me. What nonsense are you spouting? Keep talking like that, and I'll tear your mouth apart. As soon as the words left her mouth, she grabbed a glass of wine and splashed it towards me. I was prepared and dodged to the side before she could act, but it was inevitable that some still splashed onto the hem of her dress. Helen wanted to keep splashing. She was quick, but I was quicker. Before she could pick up the second glass, I closed the distance in 2 strides, grabbed her hair with one hand, and with the other, lifted the glass to pour it over her head. Instantly, screams echoed throughout the venue. Doris, as the host, was the first to arrive. Seeing Helen in such a disheveled state and then spotting me, Doris was both shocked and furious. Carlin, I didn't invite you. How did you get here? As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd erupted in an uproar, without even an invitation. Could it be that she sneaked in? I think she just wanted to come and Alfred to beg for reconciliation. Helen hit the nail on the head. And she got so angry and humiliated that she splashed. Helen, look at her shrewish behavior, still dreaming of marrying into a wealthy family. Ugh, how shameless. Doris frowned. Who let you in? I glanced at her. I came with Cyrus, she said. Who? Cyrus? Ha 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 ha, help. Of all people, she had to mention Cyrus. Doesn't she know the current Cyrus isn't someone just anyone can approach? She must have just returned from the countryside and doesn't know how powerful Cyrus is now. Truly ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. Daring to get involved with Cyrus, I sighed helplessly. I really came with Cyrus. Why won't you believe me? At this, the laughter grew even louder. It drew the attention of the male guests as well. In the distance, I saw Alfred and Cyrus walking towards us simultaneously. However, Alfred was faster on his feet and reached us in just a few steps. Upon seeing me, he paused slightly but quickly regained his composure. What happened? Doris briefly explained the situation to him, with every word pointing the blame at me. Finally, she said, Alfred, have someone escort her out, so she doesn't disturb Mr. Liu later. Alfred didn't move, his dark eyes silently studying me. Alfred, Doris repeated again. Almost as soon as her words fell, a chorus of Mr. Liu could be heard one after another. It's Cyrus. He gave a slight nod, then looked at me. Just as he was about to speak, Helen stepped forward, pointing at me and said, Mr. Liu, this woman doesn't have an invitation. She claims she came with you. Before Cyrus could respond, she added, this woman is a shrew. When she can't win an argument, she resorts to violence. She's the one who splashed me. And that's not all. She even has the audacity to claim a connection with you. Cyrus raised an eyebrow. Oh, there's such a thing. There is. Everyone can testify to it. Cyrus slowly turned his gaze to me. Did you really do it? I replied calmly. It was me. Well done. Helen was shocked. Mr. Liu, not only Doris, but the onlookers were also stunned that Cyrus would say such a thing. Only Alfred remained expressionless. All right, everyone, disperse now, he said. The engagement banquet is about to begin. Go and get ready. After uttering those final words, he instinctively glanced at me, then turned to leave. Doris suddenly spoke up. Security, escort this lady out. She wasn't invited. Let me see who dares. With a sharp shout, Cyrus slowly rose from his wheelchair, driving away my companion. Is this how the Armstrong family treats their guests? In that instant, nearly every gaze in the room fixed upon Cyrus' legs. All wore expressions of shock, including me. It wasn't until Cyrus approached that I snapped out of my shock, staring blankly at his perfectly intact legs. Your legs, he smiled wryly. I was planning to keep it as a surprise, but I guess that's not possible now. He suppressed his smile and turned to face Alfred and the others. Since you don't welcome people from the Delbert family, our future cooperation will need adjustments. With that, he took my hand and walked out of the venue right under everyone's gaze. The remaining crowd was left exchanging bewildered looks. Did you just hear that? Cyrus said he's from Delbert's family. So what's his relationship with Carlin? No way, Cyrus and Carlin, don't joke about that. But I heard that Cyrus and Carlin have known each other for a long time. Rumor has it that Carlin was the first person to find Cyrus after the incident. That night, Delbert's family's young master being able to walk became a trending topic. Many sent their blessings. But some skeptical netizens questioned if it was just a publicity stunt. I was about to lie down when Alfred's call came through. As soon as the call connected, his first words were, "You knew all along that Cyrus wasn't disabled, didn't you? You're insane." I hung up the phone. He called again. "Carlin, even if you're with him, so what? Do you think someone of your status could ever step through the doors of the Delbert family?" I was fuming with anger. "None of your damn business." After hanging up this time, I blocked and deleted all his contact information. Just as I finished doing all this, Cyrus called again. "Carlin, I'm homeless now." Cyrus, after his family found out about him pretending to be lame. His parents and grandparents angrily kicked him out of the house. Holding a cup of hot water, he sat on the sofa and said, "Sorry, I didn't mean to trouble you, but I really have nowhere else to go." Cyrus said that he hadn't bought any property for himself over the years. He lived and ate with his elders to make it easier for them to take care of him. I nodded. "Then you can stay here for now. You can move out once you find a place of your own." This was a 2-bedroom apartment arranged by the company, so I couldn't really refuse him, but he said, "I might have to stay with you for a while." He scratched his head sheepishly. "My family has frozen my bank cards too." And so, Cyrus and I started living together. During the day, we went to work together. Sometimes we worked late into the night, had dinner out, and then went home together. 3 months passed like this. One day, Cyrus had a social engagement, so I went home alone first. In the elevator, I ran into the auntie living next door, who asked me curiously, "Why didn't your boyfriend come back with you?" My face turned red. "You've misunderstood. He's not my boyfriend." "Impossible. Last time he told me you two were in a relationship." "Did you buy this house to get married?" "This house belongs to the company." The aunt looked at me as if I were an idiot. "This girl, which company would rent you an apartment for $10,000 a month? Or maybe there's something wrong with that boyfriend of yours. He's keeping you at arm's length." That night, Cyrus came back very late. He sat on the sofa, his long legs stretched out casually, looking like he had drunk quite a bit. "Why did you drink so much? I'll go make you some sobering soup." He didn't respond. His eyes closed as if he was feeling very unwell. I felt a bit worried and, after hesitating for a moment, decided to step forward to check on him. Just as I was about to touch him, he pulled me into his embrace. The crisp scent of his cologne reached me before I could react, and his lips were already pressing down on mine. The moist, heated kiss, mixed with a faint hint of alcohol, aggressively invaded my breath. I tried to push him away, only to find myself firmly held in his arms. Unable to move him an inch, the air was thick with an ambiguous tension. I don't know how long it had been. When Cyrus finally pulled away from my lips, he leaned against my shoulder, steadying his breathing, feeling an unusual sensation beneath me. I dared not move a muscle. Finally, he let go of me. "Sorry, I lost control." His voice was thick with desire as soon as he spoke. I quickly left and ran into the kitchen. From that day on, there was a subtle change in our relationship. I tried to avoid him, attempting to adjust my schedule to not overlap with his, yet for some reason, the more I tried to avoid him, the more unavoidable he became. The time he was supposed to spend in the study now turned into workout sessions on the balcony. He, who would never leave his room in the middle of the night, appeared in the living room wrapped in a towel for several consecutive days. Even as foolish as I am, I understood his meaning, but I always maintained my own pace. On the day the truth came out, Alfred stopped me downstairs in the neighborhood. After not seeing him for several months, Alfred looked much more haggard. Being in the same circle, I've heard some rumors. After his engagement with Doris, the wedding was repeatedly postponed. The business of the Clarence family became increasingly difficult under the pressure from the Delbert family. So the Clarence family wanted to ally with the Armstrongs to save their own company. But Alfred for some reason refused to hold a wedding and never mentioned marriage. Doris was pressured by her family and had no choice but to resort to a scheme. getting pregnant with his child. In the end, Alfred was forced to register their marriage. I had just returned from the supermarket when I saw him carrying 2 large bags of ingredients for hot pot. Alfred looked at the things in my hands and said angrily, "You're with him, and he actually makes you do these things." I frowned. "I'm not missing any limbs. Why can't I handle such a small thing?" "But when you're with me, Alfred," I interrupted him, "you're married. Could you at least act like a married man?" He choked on his words and fell silent. I had no intention of chatting with him further, so I turned and walked away. But the moment I turned around, I saw Cyrus. He was quite far away, and I couldn't make out his expression. Just as I was about to greet him, he suddenly turned and walked away without looking back. He didn't even eat the hot pot we agreed to have for lunch. He took off his shirt and silently worked out with weights on the balcony. I watched him with amusement. "How much more do you need to train before you're satisfied?" He stopped and said expressionlessly, "Then are you satisfied?" "To be honest, quite satisfied." The lines are elegant without being too exaggerated. The V-line extends below the waistband, leaving much to the imagination. "Just, I wonder how it feels to the touch." Cyrus suddenly put down the dumbbells and strode away. I called out to him, "Are you really not eating anymore?" He turned back, giving me a deep look. "I'll eat after I take a shower." Half an hour later, when he carried me to the bed, I finally understood what kind of eating he meant. Afterwards, he leaned against the headboard to catch his breath, like a satiated leopard lazily strolling across the savannah, hugging the blanket. I grew angrier the more I thought about it. "Cyrus, what are we now? Consider us boyfriend and girlfriend." Seeing my furrowed brows, he added, "If you want to get married, I'm fine with that too." I was so mad I laughed, kicking his shin. "Who would want to marry a blockhead like you?" Cyrus looked over, his eyes deep and intense. "That's not what you were saying when you called out just now." Remembering the scene from earlier, my face flushed red, and I pulled the blanket over my head. He pulled the blanket away from me and said very seriously, "I mean it when I say I want to marry you." Facing his sincere gaze, I couldn't afford to be shy anymore. Holding his face in my hands, I said, "Let's try dating first. If we're compatible, then we can talk about marriage." His eyes suddenly lit up, without a word. He turned over and pressed down on me again. A year later, I married Cyrus. At the wedding, I saw Alfred again. In just one short year, he had lost all his former vigor, replaced by exhaustion. He stood beside us, watching silently as we took photos. During the break, he came forward and handed me a bottle of water. "Happy wedding." I didn't take it. "Thank you. I'm not thirsty." Not far away, Cyrus was being pulled by the groomsmen to take photos. Through the crowd, I waved at him. "You look beautiful today," Alfred suddenly said. I curved my lips at him. "Thank you." Over there, Cyrus had finished shooting and waved at me to come over. I was about to leave when I heard Alfred say, "Carlin, if you married me, you'd be this happy too, right?" I stopped and looked at him seriously, saying, "No, I wouldn't." Hurt flashed in his eyes. "Just because Doris and I didn't work out, you think it'd be the same with you?" I shook my head. "Life is only interesting when spent with someone who truly suits you. We're not a good match." I was in a hurry to leave when he suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Carlin, you used to like me so much. How can you just let go so easily?" After his repeated pestering, I completely lost my patience, angrily shaking off his hand. I said in a low voice, "When you were with me, you couldn't forget Doris, so I let you go. Now that you've gotten what you wanted, what more is there to be unhappy about?" He stared at me blankly, and after a long while, whispered, "I'm sorry." Turning around, he disappeared into the crowd. "Carlin," Cyrus called out to me across the crowd. I composed myself and ran toward him, lifting the hem of my dress. The order in which people enter your life matters. Some people came late and didn't accompany me through every sunrise and sunset. But those who wait a little longer can spend the rest of their lives with me. The end.